Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to From the Depths with me, Zicargo. We're here in the designer mode taking a look at this, the Absolution. This is what I would call a bit of a hover tank. When I say hover tank, I mean thruster craft, essentially. For me, a hover tank is like a small flying tank that is designed around around like a central turret. I know that tanks don't have to have a central turret. I know that this is a thruster craft, but I don't know, it feels different. When I say hover tank, it feels different to me. And so this feels like a hover tank to me and not a thruster craft. This thing is coming in at 236,000 materials. And let's go over its systems. Well, we'll just start here. A pair of the simple weapon octuple AA guns, and then we've got 3 particle cannons. Each one of them is a scatter lens, and each one of those scatter lenses is firing 4 particle beams that looks roughly like this. Got roundabouts 12 beams that each does roundabouts 2,700 damage-ish. Quick mental math. So this is a supplemental damage weapon. We've gone with impact because piercing puts me to sleep, and I don't like using EMP. So we've gone with impact instead because explosive shock would be, 1,500 explosive damage being reduced substantially at range. It would like tickle an opponent, not be very productive. Impact at least pretty useful at about any range. For detection, we've stolen some of the textured suites off of the carrier, and we've customized them again. Yeah, I've used this on a bunch of designs, so I'm not gonna spend too much time on it. And then for the APS, we've got a 333mm gun. I'm a big fan of 333mm because you can fire shells like this. Now you can do whatever you want to with this gauge. You can go double gunpowder with no rail for a decently quick shell. You can go 1 gunpowder and 2 warhead for a decently powerful shell. Or if you're willing to add rail into the mix, you can go quite a bit on the damage. This particular shell is exactly what we're using. So we're using 3,000 rail draw, but 10% of that is used for an accuracy buff. So we have 2,700 for our muzzle velocity of 638 meters a second, and then we've got 36,000 damage on the Hesh. This Hesh damage is so high that even if this hits wood, it'll still do substantial damage past wherever it goes. And of course, if it hits anything other than wood, then the opponent in craft has a bad day. It's also fast enough that it can catch most mid to large size craft with a chance to hit smaller stuff. What else? The missiles. So these missiles are currently 1 reinforced warhead, 1 explosive warhead, and a thumper head on a remote guidance. I might switch these over to pure kinetic. But for right now, we've kept the HE just because I like it when things go boom boom. They're decently good at tracking, decently fast, and they're all remote guided. So flares are not particularly useful against them. On the main body, we have some of our turning thrusters, and these are all small jet engines. And then underneath here, we've also got all of our pitch and some of our up-down thrust, just to keep us aloft. We've stuck with the small jet engines all along here because they do not get quite as hot. You can see the temperature there, 96 Celsius. If we go over to the side thrusters here, side thrusters have larger jet engines. This one's at 600 Celsius, so 8 to 9 times the temperature on the large engines on the side here. Means that any infrared missiles are going to target these sides, which are heavily armored. There's nothing useful in them except for, I guess, the thruster and the turret here. For the control over the side here, we have a spin block with a turret attached to it. So I've done this because I didn't really have space to add too much EMP protection in the side here. And EMP surges can hit spin blocks from either sub-object. So by putting a giant turret here, the giant turret has a lot of health, and hopefully EMP won't just wreck this thing if there's EMP missiles or whatever going after the side. At least that's the hope. We'll have to see how it goes. I don't think this is an elite level design. If I had to say, if I had to go over here and tell you what difficulty design this was, I would put it somewhere in the realm of medium. I think most of my designs would fall into the hard category, and maybe one or two of them might fall into godly. This one is somewhere in between easy and medium if I had to assign a difficulty. There's a lot that this craft could have that it doesn't, but it's singular in purpose. It does one thing. It travels on the campaign map at 90 meters a second. Why does this say 81? That's not right. Go! Go, my child! We're actually up to 104 meters a second. 505, 6, oh my word. Okay. It is faster than I thought. I thought it was like 93 meters a second. It turns out, no. 107. Perfect. Alright, hopefully they won't crash into each other this time. Spawn's quite slow. Now this thing is basically a brick of heavy armor, so it's quite durable, and oh my, that's a lot. That is a lot fallen off already. Looks like we've stripped the turret over top. And that's about it for the... Oh! Never mind. The left turret has exploded. A little bit of ramming each other. Not quite as severe as it was last time. It is potentially blocking up. Nope. The left-hand turret's gone as well. In fact, all the turrets are gone. In fact, that first one is just dead already. Those HESH shells are quite powerful. Is it reloading? Nope, it's not reloading. Just degraded mode. Oh, looks like we popped both the top turret and the right-hand turret. All that remains is that left-hand turret, but it looks like we've destroyed the roll control as well, so this thing is going down. Against designs that are adept at hitting this thing, it's probably going to fall fairly quickly. It certainly wouldn't hold up very well to HESH itself. Well, I say that. It kind of depends. If we take a look in here, the front part is battery storage, which, you know, we need that for some other stuff, as well as a whole bunch of armor. So if HESH hit the front, it would definitely do some damage, but it wouldn't knock us out of the sky. We've also got the AI down here. The AI is encased in its own layer of heavy armor. The block shrinking makes it a little hard to see, but it is. And then we've got a whole bunch of the textures and stuff for the remote guidance, and then we've got our engines back here. I've gone with radiators for the engines as opposed to an exhaust because, again, I want the highest temperature things on the craft to be these large jet engines on the side. So if you go with an exhaust, you have like an exhaust port, which is a really high temperature. If you go with radiators, it diffuses most of the heat to the body of the craft. Unfortunately, our front aerodynamic heating up at speed does exceed 1,000 degrees Celsius, which it sounds crazy to me. Once it starts circling, though, it drops down to substantially lower, and once it's circling, infrared missiles will always target like the nearest engine nacelle. Now, you may have noticed the helmet on this little guy. Look at him with his little helmet and the obnoxious. There we go. No more firing restrictions. Look at him with his little helmet. So this design came to me as in the middle of the night. I hadn't made a hover tank in a while, and I just kind of thought of this sort of face on a turret for like a little helmet sort of thing. And this started as a primarily aesthetic build. So the helmet itself is fully tangible. It is real. It is on a spin block. And this helmet is clipped into the heavy armor a little bit here. So there's kind of like an ugly head underneath here, and then there's the glass kind of clipped through the side. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say that that's non-kosher build techniques, but I recently did a video where I looked a lot at Subgrid Clipping, and I talked about that at length in my Super Clippy the Attack Chopper episode of Zicargo's Garage. If you're interested in that, feel free to go check that out. I'm avoiding the practice mostly. However, I didn't see a way to get the glass helmet on the angles I wanted without either building this out like another 5 or 6 meters on either side, or turning a spin block on an angle and then just having a little bit of glass clipped with a little bit of heavy armor. I'll just state that it's glass, so, you know, if there's anyone out there who's like, you're giving yourself an unintended advantage, it's glass. I think as many times as I need to repeat the phrase "it's glass" to anyone who says you shouldn't do that, it's glass. Okay, it's glass. Yeah. When this thing is traveling at top speed and fighting with both its railgun and its particle cannons, it does not have much spare engine power. So it has no shields, no laser anti-munition defense, no ring shields, no nothing like that. Instead, it has some smoke dispensers. It also has no decoys. I did consider adding a decoy that's sort of like going over here, and we'll have to see. Right, because you can add a decoy here, you can set it to use like 300 power a second. And then hopefully, yeah, that should eclipse anything else that's going on the craft. Maybe we drop it down to 200. Something like that. And then you can add a decoration, a glass block, and hide the original mesh. I considered doing something like this. I don't know if I will come back and do it, like sort of leave it that way. But, yeah, we'll see. Actually, maybe I should place them on the horns. Anyway, over the course of this vehicle, I was considering a couple of different variants to it, and I'm thinking there might be a good idea to take the missile system out completely, add another engine, coat this thing in heavy shields, drop the particle cannons, expand the railgun, and make a much higher fire rate variant of the exact same type. Same sort of like thing. I was thinking about doing that. So if you want to see a second version of this that's just railgun and whatnot, let me know, because I think that could be quite potent. That's all I got for you guys today. Thanks for watching. I got the submarine episode and one more airship. Yeah, anyways, I'll see you guys soon with those last 2 episodes of The Garage, and then we'll be, well, assuming I don't have any more 4 AM ideas. But yeah, thanks for watching. See you guys next time. Bye!